verse 46. But this body, form, the word here is samsthana, and senses are made of the 8 substances. Deluded in the cage of transmigration, the ignorant thus discriminate this phenomenal world. And the word here is rupa. The previous verse was having a go at traditional Buddhist analysis. And I covered this in the previous video. And I was pointing out it's actually quite a good analysis in a way. It's about being aware of what we're actually experiencing. We're actually experiencing heat, texture, and resistance. Whenever we touch something, that's what we experience. We get texture, temperature, resistance. And this is actually all we're experiencing. The trouble is, if we think that we're actually experiencing something. It always surprises me when a spiritual teacher, one who clearly has a deep degree of insight, assumes the reality of the physical world and the mechanism for experiencing it. And what this verse seems to be suggesting is that we apply exactly the same analysis as was being disparaged in the previous verse. It's saying that this body, its form, and its senses are made of the 8 substances. Now, I don't know if there's a list of these substances somewhere. I'm sure there must be, spelling out what these 8 substances are. But I'm just going to go with what was mentioned in verse 45. And these related to the 4 elements of earth, air, water and fire. Now, I mentioned the article in Wikipedia on Mahabhuta, which is about these great elements. And there's 2 aspects to each of these elements. An external aspect relating to objects in the world, like rivers and mountains, and internal aspects. Well, that gives us a list of 8, doesn't it? We've got the physical aspects of the body, plus its internal aspects. So the earth element, for example, includes hair, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bone, organs, intestinal material, etc. And the water element includes bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, nasal mucus, urine, etc. And the fire element includes bodily mechanisms that produce warmth, aging, digestion and so on. And the wind or air element includes breathing and other gases in the body. So it's saying that this body, form and senses are made up of these 8 substances. So the attempt here is to dissolve that which is doing the analysing. Traditional Buddhism reinforced discrimination. It was about breaking down all these objects that we thought real into their constituent parts. Just like a chemist sees everything in terms of chemical structures or atomic structures. So it's very much like the scientific person who sees everything in terms of fundamental particles just doing their thing. And it's a dead end for the Buddhist. You're not going to get liberation through this technique, through this process of analysis. You're going to carry on stuck in your cage of transmigration, going over the same ground over and over again, because you fundamentally believe in the physicality of the material world. And this is what's meant by rupa here. Rupa is the first of the skandhas, which is the basis of the belief in the reality of the individual ego. So as verse 47 says, in the intermingling of causes and conditions, the ignorant imagine the birth of all things. Or they just imagine birth, things actually coming into being. But as they do not understand the truth, they go astray in this abode of the triple world. They're lost in this basic structure, this basic belief of an external physical world and of an individual being wandering around this external world and perceiving this external world through the senses. This is the basic block to liberation. And this liberation is the realization spelt out in verse 48. In all things there is no self-nature. In other words, there are no fundamental constituents, no fundamental components. They are mere words of people. It's just a way of thinking. And the scientist, when pressed, will say, yes, it's nothing more than a model. That which is discriminated has no reality. Even Nirvana is like a dream. Nothing is seen to be in transmigration, nor does anything ever enter into Nirvana. So again, it's the basic Buddhist belief that is being attacked here. It's the belief that by analysing what we believe to be true and breaking it down will somehow bring us into Nirvana, will release us from our attachments. But we have this strong attachment to the discriminations that we make, and so we're essentially blocked. As verse 45 said, there is neither signified nor signifying. Signified and signifying is about believing that the reality of an object is determined by its physical components. So this is what we have to analyze in ourselves. This is what we have to realize in ourselves. When transforming our inner world, we're giving up on the reality of physicality. We're giving up on the apparent reality of physicality. We're moving into our own sense of being. This is the reality we're moving towards. This is the reality that we are reclaiming.